Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Mart Taylor. I'm a Senior Project Manager at the Digital Developments Unit of the Council of Europe. It's my honor to wish you all a very warm welcome to EuroDIG 2025 Day 1. We had a big day yesterday, Day 0, where we had discussions on everything from AI and the Huderia methodology, which is a risk assessment method for AI systems, to the autonomous weapon systems. And today is the first real day after the grand opening yesterday. We will be beginning today with main session 1, presented by, Anna Neves. After yesterday's celebrations, I think you're all ready to talk, to interact, and main session 1 today is about WSIS. With that in mind, before we begin, I'd like to hand over to our online moderator, João.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is João Pedro. I'm from Portugal. Please kind of recognize my face and keep number 21 if you're contributing online. For those who join online, please enter the sessions with full name. To ask a question, raise your hand using the Zoom function, and I'll be responsible for unmuting you when the moderator of the session gives you the floor. For those who join on inside the room, it's very important that you enter the Zoom session with your mic muted and your speakers from your device also disabled. And I'll give back the floor.
Please, Anna Neves is going to be hosting this session. Thank you very much.
So, hello, good morning, everybody. Let's go for the main session 1. This session will be dedicated to why the WSIS+20 review matters and how national and regional IGF can enhance stakeholder participation. So we will have 3 key participants intervening now and to launch the discussion for the first part of this session. And then I will open the discussion to the participants. We will have 12 participants that already signed for make statements, and then we'll have a free discussion and then go back to the key speakers. And finally, we'll have the messages from this session that they will be published in the EuroDIG site on the 25th of May. So everything is set. So I think that we are going to start with the first key participant, and who is Her Excellency Ms. Suela Janina, Permanent Representative of Albania to the UN, and one of the co-facilitators for the WSIS+20 review. Madam Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues and friends. It is a great pleasure for me to join you today at EuroDIG 2025 and to provide an update on the preparation for the WSIS+20 review, in my capacity as one of the co-facilitators appointed to lead this important process. I would like also to represent my colleague, His Excellency Ekitela Lokale, the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Kenya to the United Nations, whose travel engagement did not allow him to participate today in this discussion. The modalities resolution for the WSIS+20 review was adopted by consensus on 25th of March of this year. I take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciations to Kenya and Lithuania, the co-facilitators of the modalities negotiations, for their commitment and leadership in ensuring an inclusive and successful outcome. The modalities resolution provides for us a clear framework for the work ahead, emphasizing the need for a transparent, inclusive, and multi-stakeholder process. The key elements of this process are a high-level meeting of the General Assembly to be convened at the highest possible level on 16 and 17 December of this year, with the participation of all relevant stakeholders. At least 2 informal interactive consultations organized by the President of the General Assembly with stakeholders, 1 consultation before the zero draft during the 79th session under Cameroon's presidency, and another consultation during the negotiations under the 80th session under Germany's presidency. While the WSIS+20 review is an intergovernmental process, we fully recognize that the success of this process over the past two decades has been built on the strong, active, and meaningful participation of the WSIS community, including civil society, the technical community, the private sector, academia, and youth. We are committed to ensuring that the voices of all stakeholders are heard throughout the WSIS+20 process. The WSIS community has always been a model of bottom-up, inclusive engagement, and EuroDIG, as one of the recognized national and regional initiatives of the Internet Governance Forum, embodies this spirit. We value the contributions and proposals from across the stakeholder spectrum. There are many ideas out there, which I will not get into details today, but please be assured that we do and we carefully review these inputs and take all of them into consideration while moving forward. Together with my co-facilitator, the permanent representative of Kenya, and with the support of the UNDESA Secretariat, we are advancing 2 immediate areas of work. First, development of a roadmap. We are finalizing a roadmap inspired by the WSIS+10 process, but updated to reflect lessons learned and today's digital realities. In addition to the PGA stakeholder consultations, we as co-facilitators plan to engage stakeholders during 3 major upcoming events. First, the UNESCO Conference on Capacity Building on AI and Digital Transformation, which will take place in Paris at the beginning of June. The IGF 2025, which will take place by the end of June in Norway, and the WSIS Forum 2025 in July in Geneva. We are preparing and trying to draft during these days an element paper expected to be released in mid-June 2025 as a basis for discussions. The paper will draw on the CSTD 20-year review report, the most recent CSTD resolution, and other relevant contributions. I know that David Suter is supporting us and UNDESA Secretariat in this work, and you will hear more from him later in the same session. Distinguished delegates, the digital environment, the range of actors, and the geopolitical context have evolved considerably since WSIS+10. We now face the implementation of the Global Digital Compact, new challenges around AI governance and emerging technologies, a diversity of perspectives across member states and stakeholder groups. Against this background, member states have emphasized the need for greater efficiency, coherence, and inclusivity. We, as co-facilitators, are fully committed to a WSIS+20 review process that is efficient, transparent, inclusive, and driven by consensus. Over the coming months, we will remain in listening mode, carefully reflecting the insights from today's session, from stakeholder consultations, from all the coordination and regional commissions, and from CSTD discussions. With the active engagement of all stakeholders, I'm confident that we'll deliver a forward-looking, impactful WSIS+20 outcome that builds a people-centered, inclusive, and development-oriented information society for the future. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Thank you very much for your message. I think that it's really good to hear that we have such a co-facilitator, and together with the co-facilitator from Kenya, I think that you are setting the right scene to have this multi-stakeholder setting for the discussion of the WSIS +20 review, which should lead us at the end of this year to a very good compromise on what we want and what the world needs. The need for the future and in the short, medium, and long terms. So I hope that you stay with us until the end of the session, because I think that we will have some very good elements from the participants in this room that they will try to convey to you today. And now I will give the floor to Mr. Thibaut Kleiner. Thibaut is the Director of Future Networks Directorate of DG Connect at the European Commission. So, Thibaut, good morning, bonjour. You have the floor.
Good morning, and I'm sorry I couldn't be with you in person today, but I'm very pleased to be able to participate in this EuroDIG. So, Excellencies, honorable members, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I was indeed a bit more than 1 month ago appointed in this role, supervising also internet governance in the European Commission. And clearly, this meeting of EuroDIG and this year is very important because we have indeed a series of developments. The WSIS +20 review is essential because the world is changing, and it is a pivotal opportunity to shape really digital future globally and to set the right path, because sometimes we may think that internet governance issues are made for experts and for initiated people, but they are actually at the core of our digital fabric. And it is very important that we link them up with important digital developments in terms of technologies, but also in terms of changes in the way the world is evolving, with deeper geopolitical tensions that could have repercussions even on the way the internet globally is governed. So from the side of the European Union, we want to be a positive force in this process of the WSIS +20 review. We believe that we have a role to play also from the experience we gathered in the past years, organizing also a digital rule book for the digital economy and space, and also building upon our long tradition in this area. We have recently completed our process internally so that we can form really the priorities for the EU going forward in the WSIS +20 process. And these lines were recently endorsed by our member states on the 19th of May. So I can share with you today, and I'm very pleased about this, some highlights. So the EU, not surprisingly, is advocating transparent, inclusive negotiations for the WSIS +20 review process. We want to ensure active participations by all stakeholders. I think this is the starting point. And we are really now actively engaging so that we can meet and discuss with relevant parties, starting with the co-facilitators. And I was very pleased to hear the Albanian ambassador just now. But we also think that there are additional challenges this year. We think that the WSIS +20 review, and in the wake, I would say also of the Global Digital Compass, is an opportunity to address digital divides that are building up, including those that come from new technological developments like artificial intelligence. So that's something that we think we need to do more and better. We need to make sure that the internet's power to connect people and to foster economic opportunity is shared not by a few, but by everyone. And that's why we are proposing to align actually the WSIS action lines with sustainable development goals. We think this is really important, and this is an opportunity this year. We also want to make sure that we have incremental updates in these WSIS action lines to align them not only with the SDG and the Global Digital Compact commitments, but also to make sure that we have a coherent and effective policy implementation so that we don't need to create new governance structures, but we need to make them more operational and to create synergies with the various organizational structures that exist within the UN process and beyond. So we don't want to divert from what matters, and on the contrary, we want to make sure that this process will be deepened and empowered. And of course, the EU will oppose reopening the Tunis agenda. We don't want to change the way the internet governance operates. So now, in our discussions internally in the EU, we are proposing to actually take also some further steps. One important call is to have an institutionalization of the Internet Governance Forum beyond 2025. We would like to have stable funding from the UN budget as well as from voluntary contributions, but we believe that we need to really anchor the IGF so that it is really a place of reference, not only on a temporary basis, but for the long term. Human rights is also a theme, as you will not be surprised, that is very important for the EU. So especially today, when we see a rise in digital authoritarianism, we believe that it is essential to anchor really the WSIS framework in universal human rights principles. This is very important because otherwise, if we are not vigilant, there are risks that are mounting. We see the potential of Web 4.0 and virtual worlds as a way to contribute to development, and we want to make sure that here as well, human rights are at the core of these developments. Some more points we discussed in the context of important UN reform. We believe that the multi-stakeholder governance approach should be really a central principle within the UN digital governance framework, and that's something we should not overlook. Especially, we believe that engagement from developing countries, also supporting collaboration and equitable digital policies, should be enhanced. Now, in terms of the internet governance context, we believe that everyone should participate in the preparation. We also believe that we need to team up globally with many countries. We don't want this feeling that some countries are outside of the discussions. We need to make sure that the process will be inclusive, and we want from the EU to build coalitions and collaborations with a lot of partners in all continents and with all types of stakeholders. Inclusivity, we believe, should be a prominent theme for that reason also in the WSIS+20, and we want to make sure that also national and regional IGF, and here I would think also that EuroDIG is important, need to be allowed to participate meaningfully in the dialogues so that we have really not the impression that all these discussions on internet governance are distant, but rather they are close by, and that everyone has an opportunity to reach through these regional and national dialogues. Defending digital freedoms will be at the heart of our positioning, and we really encourage that for the future, there will be concrete actions and outcome from these debates. We want to make sure that we translate what we are discussing today in EuroDIG into some tracks for also the IGF. We want to build these links, these regional dialogues, also with EU policy development, because we believe that these bridges, these synergies will make our discussions in the IGF, in the WSIS+20, even more legitimate. And I think that the quality will improve in the debate. So to conclude, I would say that this year is important. We have now in the coming weeks an opportunity to raise the momentum, to make sure that the right issues are on the table, and also that through inclusivity, we have really a result that matches our expectations. It is not just about technology, it's not just about the internet, it is really about the digital future, what we want from this digital transformation. And from the EU, we want to make sure that it is human-centric, secure, inclusive, and collaborative, as well as sustainable for also the environment. So let's all take part, and let's ensure that our digital society is one where every voice matters for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kleiner. It is very good to know that European Union is preparing itself for the WSIS review and for the GDC, and so to see this as a whole process. And it's very good to know that on the 19th of May, there will be the adoption by the member states of the lines to take that European Union countries will follow during the discussions. And in this context, what I understood is that there will be, so it will be taken into account the WSIS+20 review, the Global Digital Compact, and the Agenda 2030 with the Sustainable Development Goals. And together with this, we will have a compromise with development. And so it will be an interesting process that started already in the European Union, already started in all the other fora all around the world. And the strengthening of the national and regional initiatives. If we
just to say a little bit about my own background here, I've been involved with WSIS actually since preparations began in the late 1990s. I was at both sessions of the summit. So I led the 10-year review for CSTD, which is the body charged with reviewing outcomes on behalf of ECOSOC. And as you said, I just completed the work on the 20-year review, which is a substantial report. It's around 65,000 words, and I put the link to it in the chat. So it covers the whole range of issues addressed in WSIS. I've also drafted the Secretary General's annual reports on WSIS implementation for the last decade or so, and as Ambassador Suela Janina mentioned, I've recently been appointed to work with the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs on the review process that's now underway. So what I'll do is talk a little about the CSTD report as a background for the discussions, and I'll start by making 2 or 3 points about the summit itself and the evolution of WSIS over the past 2 decades, which are emphasized in that report. I think it's fair to say that WSIS established the framework for many of the international discussions of digital development that have taken place in the last 20 years, including the GDC, which was adopted last year. So, as you know, and as opening background, the summit happened in 2 phases, and I distinguish between the outcome documents of those 2 phases. So the 2003 outcome documents, the Geneva Declaration of Principles and Geneva Action Plan, they set out the principles and frameworks across many areas of digital development concerned with the digital sector and with its impact on development. And their overarching vision was set out in the opening paragraph to seek an information society that would be inclusive, human-centered, and development-oriented, consistent with sustainable development and human rights. So they established action lines on technical issues such as connectivity, cybersecurity, and in public policy areas such as development, health, and education. The Tunis agenda, which was the main outcome in 2005, was concerned with 2 issues on which agreement could not be reached 2 years previously, which were finance and internet governance. So it agreed a working definition of internet governance, which covers both technical and public policy issues, and among other things, it set up the IGF, whose mandate is included in the review. And WSIS was also where the multi-stakeholder approach became established as the starting point for international digital discussions that have happened since. So I think it's worth emphasizing 2 things that are really important when looking at the report and at the review in general, both of which I think may be obvious, but I think are worth restating. So the first is that the digital world today is very different from that of 20 years ago. The information society described in the Geneva outcome documents was to a large extent an aspiration, not the reality we see around us now. And almost all of the technology and services we're most concerned with today are post-WSIS. So the report isn't therefore just about what's happened to the things that seemed important 20 years ago. It's also about the changes that have taken place in digitalization and in its impact, and about what can be anticipated for the future. And the second point is that WSIS is not primarily about the internet, which may be the principal interest for many people in this meeting, but it's not the principal concern of the summit outcome documents. For many governments, and other stakeholders, the key issues are those concerned with the impact which digitalization has on their economies and societies. and the inclusiveness of digital development and governance. So you can find the CSTD report on CSTD's website and through the link which I put in the chat. It's still a draft until it goes through the UN's Economic and Social Council, which I think will be next month. If you're looking on the website, be careful to distinguish it from the Secretary General's report for 2025, which is also there. Don't confuse the two. This is the longer one. It's deliberately written to allow readers to select the sections that most interest you if you don't want to read the whole text. So what does it say has happened since WSIS? Well, first, it emphasizes that there's been enormous change. And the first section of the report focuses on technology and services. Most of the technologies at the heart of the information society today have emerged or at least been transformed since the summit, and it describes that process and the impact of that. So there are almost no references in the summit outcome documents, for instance, to mobile phones, because they weren't then seen as likely to become a principal means of access to the internet. So mobile broadband, social media, other digital platforms, the Internet of Things, the cloud economy, hyperscale data centers, generative AI, these are all phenomena that have become central to the digital society since WSIS. And they're not, of course, themselves outcomes of the summit, but the report considers how the ways in which they've evolved have been influenced by the ethos and vision that the summit established, and by the impetus it gave to thinking about digitalization's impact and potential by governments and other stakeholders. Many of the developing country governments that made contributions to the consultation for the report referred to the value of the action lines, for example, in developing their national strategies. And the second overarching change described in the report concerns the extent to which digital technologies have become pervasive in individual lives and in the structures of economies, societies, and cultures. Well, access and connectivity are obviously central to this, and the report illustrates the growth in access and usage of digital technologies by individuals, but also stresses the extent to which that growth is incomplete. And it notes the growing concern as a result of that, that inequalities in digitalization may be reinforcing social and economic inequalities between countries and within societies rather than reducing them. Alongside that, it describes the ways in which digitalization has altered, and in some cases transformed, the structures of economies and societies through the emergence of e-government, for instance, the development of the digital economy, the displacement of traditional modes of production and consumption, the emergence of powerful data corporations, dynamic impacts on human rights, including expression and privacy, the complex relationship that's emerged between digitalization and environmental sustainability. WSIS articulated those issues as they were at the time of the summit in its action lines, and the report considers the implementation of these and other WSIS outcomes in 6 thematic chapters, which are concerned with digital inclusion, the digital ecosystem, the digital economy, sustainable development, human rights, and digital governance. And particular attention is paid to gender equity and women's rights and to the rights and welfare of children, partly as a result of focus groups which were organized on those and 3 other central issues. So it's worth remembering that none of this digital development has taken place in isolation. The report reminds us that the pace of digital development has been affected by 2 global crises since the summit, by the economic crisis in 2008-9 and by the COVID-19 pandemic around 5 years ago. And there have also been major changes in international relations. In particular, around the time of the WSIS+10 review, the UN adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development with the ambitious set of sustainable development goals that contains. The COVID pandemic, as we know, has set back progress to many of those goals. So subsequent discussion has emphasized the potential of digital technologies to help to put them back on track. The relationship between WSIS outcomes and sustainable development is an important theme in the report. Alongside the opportunities, there's also been growing awareness of risks arising from digitalization over the past 2 decades, and these are also addressed in the report. So I've already mentioned the perception that digital inequality is increasing economic and social inequality between and within societies, something first emphasized by the World Bank around 10 years ago. There's also much concern about the impact of digitalization on environmental outcomes, including climate change, pollution, and the overuse of scarce resources. Human rights concerns include issues related to information integrity, gender-based violence, other forms of abuse, complex issues surrounding children's rights and welfare. So the report reflects the growing acknowledgement of the need for digital frameworks to recognize risk as well as opportunity, and an understanding that ensuring no one is left behind, which is the key target of the SDGs, is more complex than just providing access, or even just providing meaningful and affordable access, but reaches into broader developmental areas. The report, as I said, is concerned with the future as well as with the past. So some of the issues that have emerged since WSIS are addressed in the Global Digital Compact that was adopted by the General Assembly last year, including data management, artificial intelligence, and the ethical and regulatory frameworks required to meet broader goals of public policy or indeed the common good. Many contributors to the consultation emphasized the importance of ensuring consistency and coherence between WSIS outcomes and the GDC within that context of the SDGs and of the Pact for the Future, which was also adopted by the General Assembly last year. I've deliberately not said much specifically about the Internet or the IGF because others will do so. The WSIS arrangements for Internet governance were broadly supported in the consultation process, and that's reflected in the report. The IGF in particular was regarded by many as a success. A number of proposals were made in the consultation for improvements to the IGF, and these will no doubt be considered during the review. So in closing, I thought it might be worth summarizing the 6 points, 6 priorities for progress towards fulfilling WSIS goals that emerged from the consultation and are set out in the conclusion of the report as inputs from that consultation process. So here are those priorities. The first is continued efforts to close digital divides, including the gender digital divide, through infrastructure investment, targeted efforts on affordability and digital literacy. Second comes work to achieve a safe and secure digital environment, particularly cybersecurity. Third was the development of regulatory frameworks for data governance and privacy and for AI ethics. And associated with that, the responsibilities and accountability of digital stakeholders in contexts like information integrity, technological inequalities and biases, environmental sustainability, and human rights. Fourth, efforts to accelerate innovation in areas that will help achieve sustainable development, including digital public infrastructure and digital public goods. Fifth, greater policy coherence at national level, including the relationship between digital policy and areas of public policy that are impacted by it. And sixth, stronger collaboration at international level, including greater inclusion of developing countries in decision-making processes. So I hope that's given a broad picture of what's in the report, and I hope you'll look at it in more depth online. There'll obviously be many more contributions in the process between now and December, but I hope that gives some background which will be helpful in your discussions this morning. And I hope my internet connectivity held out for the last 10 minutes. Thanks again.
Thanks, David, for this very insightful presentation of the report, which I think it's the most valuable input that CSTD is providing or provided this year and goes now for ECOSOC. But I promise that if you read the report, you may start with the chapters that have something where you work on. You can start with the chapters that interest more to you, but then I think that you have the flavor and you'll read all the reports in a very pleasant way. So if you need facts, if you need evidence, go to the report. If you need arguments, go to the report, to this report. It's really important. It's neutral, but it gives you facts, it gives you evidence, and it gives you the progress that has been made since 2005. And what was achieved is huge. So, and with the help of the NRIs, so the impact was really global. Thank you very much, David. And so after these 3 interventions, I now start the discussion with the participants. And we have 12, well, in principle, 12 participants that will make some statements for 2 minutes. But before that, I would like to ask you if you would like to put any questions to our key participants. So everything was really clear for the time being? Oh, it seems like it. So we go to the registered participants who would like to make statements. Well, it's very challenging for me, the names. Some of the names are really challenging. So I will start with Asmik Hakobeyan. Are you here? Online? Okay. Is not online? So let's go for the 11 statements. Now I'll give the floor to Georgi Tsikarishvili. Sorry for the pronunciation, but it's really difficult for me as a Portuguese. Georgi, it should be on site. Is not. Oh, what a pity. So they registered and they are not here to make the statement. Well, things happen. Now I'll give the floor to Jonas Kepi. He should be here. No? Oh boy. So let's move with Gurgen Petrosyan. No. Okay. At least we have Paul Blaker here. You are not on my, you are on my list, but not now. But Isidora Petkovic. No. Sorry? No, I have here on site and online. So now I'll give the floor to Duygu Kiksai. Online. We have one? Who? So we have Duygu.
Lufuno, wait. Lufuno, do you hear us? You have the floor.
Hello, good morning. Please go ahead.
Is it my time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I am Lufuno Tichikaranga from Oriza Consulting Enterprise. We are a cyber law consultancy focusing on digital transformation, ESG, and cyber security. As we look forward to the future of global digital cooperation, it is vital that WSIS+20 review is not only reflective in principle, but also credible in practice, consistent inequalities, and meaningfully with other reflections, recommendations on how this can be achieved. The WSIS+20 review is more than a retrospective. It is a pivotal opportunity to shape the future of global digital cooperation. For it to be legitimate and impactful, the meaningful inclusion of non-governmental stakeholders, particularly civil society, is essential to advance people-centered digital future. Yet persistent structural barriers such as infrastructure gaps, digital literacy, language, and accessibility continue to marginalize local voices and hinder their participation in decisions that affect them directly. To address this, we recommend that WSIS+20 process must move beyond a one-size-fits-all model and adopt inclusive, context-aware approaches that embrace cultural diversity and enable substantive engagement on the ground. To address this, we also urge that WSIS+20 process shifts from a shift to a tailored inclusive participation models that will enable engagement from all corners of the world, not just the developed countries. At national and regional level, NRIs can serve as powerful engines of bottom-up engagement, but this requires a deliberate shift away from siloed top-down consultation. Input from local forums must be formally integrated into national WSIS+20 positions to ensure that the action plans for the next decade are context-based and responsive to the local needs. Finally, on alignment, we believe that the WSIS+20 review must not operate in isolation. It should build on the momentum of the 2023 SDG review report and the 2024 Global Digital Compact to close gaps, avoid duplication, and reinforce institutional alignment. This alignment must be context sensitive, acknowledging that digital development is not at the same stage everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. I ask also the online participants to be on the lookout of the timer. We have a timer also available in the stream that we are doing to the Zoom session, and we will enforce the timer and we will mute after the timer is up.
Yes, but as we didn't have so many statements before this one, I thought that 3 minutes was a fair time to allocate to WSIS. So I hope that you will share your statement with us, so it can be in the minutes and can be part of the messages from this session as well. Well, I was wondering whether my bad pronunciation of the names is preventing people to understand that I'm giving them the floor. So let's try it now with Lufunu Tachikalanj.
That was the speaker we had online.
Lufunu. Oh, sorry. So I was saying, do you go? No, Lufunu. Thank you very much for your statement. So I hope you can share the statement that you just made with us. And now I'll give the floor to Redan Pilinci from Albania. He should be on site. No, he's not. So now Modestus Amuts. On site? No. Paul Blaker, please. But now I'll give the floor to Paul Blaker, and then I'll go through the list, and then we'll have Isabel.
Thank you. I just checked the mic. Yeah, great. Thank you, Anna. I am here, yes. My name is Paul Blaker. I represent the UK government. And I would say first, thank you to all of the participants so far, our key speakers. In particular, thank you to Her Excellency, the Ambassador from Albania. We really appreciate the fact that she made time to join us today. I think the WSIS process has many achievements over the last 20 years, and David Souter's report sets them out very well. And the review is an opportunity to take stock and, of course, to reaffirm the multi-stakeholder model of internet governance, which has enabled the internet to grow and develop so successfully. But we also need to look ahead to the challenges that we face in the future. And we need to approach the review, I think, with a new, positive, forward-looking agenda, because there's so much more to do. We need to connect the unconnected still. Yes, we have made good progress, but connecting the last third who are still unconnected will be an even bigger challenge. We need to use the existing WSIS action lines, which are technology neutral, to address the opportunities and challenges of new technologies. We need to address the gender digital divide, and we hope that UN Women, which did not exist at the time of the original WSIS, we hope that UN Women will play a valuable role there. We need to tackle the environmental impact of ICTs as they make a growing contribution to greenhouse gas emissions. This was hardly mentioned in the original WSIS documents, but of course is an incredibly important issue now. We need to fully address the impact of ICTs on human rights, and I was pleased that the EU also mentioned this as a key issue. And we hope that the UN OHCHR will be given a more formal role here. We would also like to see a permanent mandate for the IGF and much stronger recognition of national and regional initiatives. NRI's national regional IGFs were not mentioned at all in WSIS+10, but they play such an important role giving a voice to local communities, and the WSIS+20 is an opportunity to strengthen their role. We'd like to see the initiatives from the GDC fully integrated into the WSIS process, something that member states of CSTD called for last month. So there's a really big agenda ahead. It's really important that stakeholders can contribute meaningfully to the review process. And we were pleased to see the 5-point plan that was published by a number of civil society organizations recently. I think it has 170 or more signatures now from organizations around the world. And we hope that the co-facilitators will take that plan into account as they plan the review. We think that this bottom-up stakeholder engagement gives the WSIS process an authority, a legitimacy, and a real-world impact. And it's so important that we maintain that. And we look forward to working with all stakeholders to ensure a successful outcome to the review and to build a renewed WSIS that will be fit for the future. Thank you.
And now on my list, I'll give the floor, in principle, to Kerem Şuktay. Okay. Is not online as it was supposed to be. And the last one I have on this list is Gulalay Khan. Online. Nope. Okay. So now I would like to put the 3 guiding questions for our discussion. And while that is being done, I will give the floor to Isabel de Sola from the Office of ODET, the Office for Technologies and, Office for Digital and Emerging Technologies. Please, Isabel.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning. I wasn't planning on taking the floor, but this is obviously a topic of my great passion and interest. And thank you for making the effort and the great initiative to have this conversation here. It's part of a 2-year-long process almost, or 3-year-long process to get to the WSIS review. From the UN Office on Digital and Emerging Technologies, we speak in a sense on behalf of GDC implementation. Perhaps not directly WSIS implementation, but because of the repeated calls to make sure that the 2 agendas work together, are coherent, are complementary, and especially efficient, I felt that it could be useful to share just 30 seconds or 1 minute worth of reflection. It's been now almost 8 months, perhaps, since the Summit on the Future, Summit of the Future, and the approval of the Pact for the Future and its annex, the GDC. And we've learned quite a lot about how these 2 agendas are complementary and how they work together. I think first and foremost, it's important just to recall that the Pact for the Future is a very broad umbrella that has 6 pillars, and it goes from all topics of peace and security, climate change, youth, digital technologies, international financial architecture reform. It's a very broad umbrella, and the GDC is one part of the Pact for the Future. In that broad umbrella, the WSIS is recognized and welcomed as an essential piece of the future, of course, Summit on the future that we want, making it more inclusive, more human-centric, that it works for development, that the internet is open, free, safe, and for all. Many of the aspirations and the exact texts of the WSIS Summit outcome documents are reflected in the GDC and therefore in this broader umbrella of the Pact for the Future. I think what's interesting to note is that at the time of the WSIS summit, digital was perhaps kind of in its own bubble. It needed a summit all on its own. Whereas 20 years later, every single agenda that we have in the UN and multilateral universe has a digital component. So what I think I would like to transmit is that in GDC implementation, we are, of course, carrying forward some of the aspirations of the WSIS. As part of now a broader whole of society or 6-pillar summit, where we see how these issues are interlocking. And that's something that I would like just to offer as food for thought for the review is how can we, on the one hand, maintain the integrity of the WSIS agenda, which is not yet finished. I think I align myself with all of Paul's remarks. This is an agenda that isn't done yet, while at the same time integrating it into other agendas on climate change, on youth, on peace and security, on health, etc. So that would be one reflection I'd like to share as food for thought here, and I look forward to listening to others' remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Isabel, and thank you for remembering that we have this pact for the future that was adopted last year. And so it has the 6 pillars, being one dedicated to the digital, and so the Global Digital Compact is part of this pact for the future. Now on the guiding questions. Can you put them larger on the screen, please? Okay. So now we'd like to hear from you. So we still have time, and it should, yes, it's about the guiding principle, the guiding questions. Yes. So, sorry, 146, it's a bit ridiculous, but 146, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the floor. This is Xian Hong, representing UNESCO. I did ask for a statement, but it's okay, I can combine because I do have a lot of thoughts since yesterday. Yesterday, we had some very important discussion I could share, which inform our guiding questions. For example, in the dynamic coalition measuring digital inclusion, they launched an issue brief on the human rights-centered governance of quantum technologies. It shows that how important the WSIS process should be continually explore systematically the frontier technology. Now we have 5 years before we achieve the 2030 agenda. So it's so important to continue to use this process, and also IGF and NRIs to track the complex implications of those new technologies. That's why one recommendation from the policy brief is also to continue integrate a new subject to this existing multi-stakeholder platforms. That's one point. Second thing resonated that topic is about the gender divide and gender-related violence facilitated by the rise of the artificial intelligence and the new technologies. Equally, I mean, the gender divide exists for any new technology for quantum, for AI, for internet. Without creating a safe, enabling environment for women, girls, we cannot imagine any inclusive digital futures as set out in the Global Digital Compact. That's my second point. And third one, I like to also point out, also it's related to what Freedom Online Coalition has launched yesterday on the principles of the DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure. There is a huge challenge as UNESCO perceived about the barriers of public sector to digitize, to undergo this, to succeed in the digital transformation. Public sectors are facing so many barriers, challenges in many countries. They have no capacity to handle this digital transformation, lack of policies, lack of data governance competencies among the policymakers and the civil servants. So to tackle that, I'd like to inform you that the UNESCO is organizing a conference in June 4 to 5 about capacity building on AI and the digital transformation in the public sector. It's also broadly related to how we can contribute to the broader process of WSIS+20 consultation, as well as the implementation of Global Digital Compact. So I really warmly invite you to continue our conversation from EuroDIG on this to UNESCO meet next month. Thank you very much.
Sorry, thank you very much for informing us and about this very important moment that will be held in UNESCO on AI on the 4th and 5th of June in Paris. Thank you very much. And so now I will open the floor for these questions that we have here on the screen, and that mainly they want to steer a discussion on how can non-governmental stakeholders be effectively engaged in the WSIS+20 review process. So we have here the ambassador from Albania. She will be one of the co-facilitators, so I think this is a good moment to present some ideas on how to better include the non-governmental stakeholders in all this discussion. Tomorrow we will have a discussion on the São Paulo multi-stakeholder guidelines, but I think that in this main session something can be said as well. And then we have the importance of the NRIs, how can they be more involved in this whole review process, and then the alignment between the different processes that we have here. So so the review itself of the WSIS, now that it has a pact for the future and the Global Digital Compact being part of it, and the Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030. So an agenda for developing, for the development and for developing countries. And so, and the importance of to have a key message on human rights, on gender issues, on climate change, so etc. So I will give you now the floor, please, to discuss, to say, well, whatever you want to say about these questions. Don't be shy, come on. This is supposed to be a question, a discussion. So 068, please introduce yourself.
Okay, so I see 68 from this side. I'm wondering if 268 is also me.
No,
Thank you.
068, sorry.
Right. Thank you for these timely questions. I'm a member of parliament in Kenya and also a representative of the Pan-African Parliament and a member of APNIG. I believe it is imperative that the WSIS+20 reviews embed non-governmental stakeholders, particularly youth, civil society, and grassroots innovators, not just in consultation, but in agenda settings. National governments must be encouraged or even mandated to establish multi-stakeholder reviews platforms to feed into official WSIS+20 positions. For instance, Kenya's strong digital ecosystem could be leveraged through open forums, town halls, and youth-led policy labs. Regional and national IGFs, NRIs, should not be parallel voices. They must become trusted feeders of national positions with clear mechanisms for policy adoptions and budgetary inclusion. Lastly, the alignment with the Global Digital Compact and SDGs is not optional. We must adopt a whole-of-society approach that sees WSIS as a foundation, not a silo. This includes integrating digital rights, green tech, and inclusive AI into national development plans, because sustainable development without digital equity is incomplete. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I would like to congratulate Kenya, because it's one of the few countries in the world that included already the multi-stakeholder approach in their law. So congratulations. And now I'll give the floor to 191, but please introduce yourself. 191.
Yes.
No,
okay.
yes, I was, okay, your mic is open.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Pavlos and I'm representing the Greek NRI. So this is why I would like to deliver just a short comment on that and mainly insist on the NRI participation. So our NRI was held for the first time last year and it's going to be organized next year as well in Greece. So I would like to insist on NRI participation because it really allows people from local communities to effectively participate in these processes. For instance, one thing that we did is that we tried to engage as many local communities as possible and actually invite people to even propose topic suggestions and actively engage in discussions. So then we can, if NRIs are more included in these high-level meetings, then they can more effectively diffuse all the information they gather to the local communities so that the people that these policies actually affect become part of the policies and not just passive recipients of them. So this is my comment. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much. So we really have to strengthen the national and regional initiatives of the IGF because they should be well relevant for the national setting and for the regional influence to influence at the regional level. So in that way, we can better achieve the global objectives of what will be achieved with the negotiations of the WSIS review. And now I'll give the floor to am I allowed to say a number and this person has to speak? I cannot see your number.
Me? Not entirely sure. Oh, I am working.
Yes.
That's good. Adam Peake,
please.
I can. Thank you very much. Thank you for organising the session and all the other things CSTD are doing. Effectively participate, so to have an effect. Will the contributions of non-governmental stakeholders be part of the proceedings record as an official input so that the member states can then reference them and use them in their discussions? We saw this, and I'm dating myself, going back to the WSIS in 2003 to 5, and it was very effective. To have a voice and then to be heard and recorded so that if we say something wise, you as the governments can then build upon it, is the point. So it's more a process issue, but it's quite important to be effective means to have an effect and to be part of the record. So just as a thought, I'm wondering if that has been considered, and if it hasn't, then please do so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the impact of all these efforts and agendas, they really have to have an impact. And that is something that is well done in the report of David Suter on implementation of the WSIS over these last 20 years. So it's interesting. And so the impact is always a very good evidence to make then the right choices, the right choices for the next years. So we still have some time or not. So yes, no, but we have the key participants online, right? So I would like to give them the floor again because after this not so lengthy discussion, but I think that some messages were conveyed. And I think that it will enrich our session if we have final comments from our key participants. So I would like to ask Ambassador Suela Janina if she could say something as a final message to this main session one in EuroDIG.
Thank you very much. Indeed, I wanted to conclude my participation. First of all, in thanking you, it has been very useful for me. I will convey all these messages that have been received today to my co-facilitator, And of course, would like also to reiterate what I have mentioned during my opening address and statement, that will be guided by the principles of inclusiveness and transparency. So we appreciate a lot every contribution that will come from NRIs and all other stakeholders. So I would like in this final remark to encourage every one of you. I think that there is a lot of wealth in all the contributions that I've heard today. Indeed, it has been not only a pleasure, but very useful for me to be part of this discussion. It has been the first time that I've been engaged as co-facilitator from the time that this task has been assigned to us by the President of the General Assembly. And I think that it's worth the time. It's very early in New York, but it has been really very useful for me to hear from all the contributions and to take note, and also to understand where the interests of our stakeholders will be in this process. So just I want to encourage everyone. In a few days, we'll make public the roadmap, and everyone can see and find time to engage in one or more of the processes that are ahead, including the major upcoming events, but also the informal interactive consultations. At least 2 of them will be of importance, and everyone is invited to present the expectations that they have from this process, and be assured that the co-facilitators will take good note of them and will try to accommodate as many of these perspectives from our partners and stakeholders. So with that, I would like to thank you, EuroDIG, for your openness also to include us in this discussion, and we stand ready to cooperate with you and everyone that is interested in this process into the near future. There will be very intense months ahead, but we are very thrilled and encouraged to go through this process and to deliver an outcome that will be a positive one and a consensus-driven one, and something that will serve to the people and to be linked with the sustainable development and based on human rights. So I thank you for this opportunity and looking forward to cooperate with you in the upcoming months.
Yes, I'm applauding because, Madam Ambassador, I really enjoy your words, and I think that we will have co-facilitators really listening to different stakeholders. And believe me when I say that we are all preparing the best we can for the upcoming negotiations, and we need really this openness to hear all the stakeholders and to have the sessions that will be hearings from the different stakeholders to be really hearings that you can really listen the message that will be conveyed, because all this exercise is being prepared for some months. Now I'll give the floor to Thibaut Kleiner. So European Union, European Commission, please tell us what are your final comments to this session.
Anna, we don't have Thibaut anymore on the call.
Okay.
I think we should jump to the next speaker.
And David Suter? We have. David, please. Final remarks?
I'm here, yes.
Yes, you are.
I don't think I would really want to add anything to what Ambassador Janina has just said. I hope that people on the call and in the meeting will read the CSTD report. It's fairly readable, I think, and as I say, it has been written in such a way that it can be read selectively rather than comprehensively, if that is what you wish to do. I'd say that in sort of reflecting on it, in particular, perhaps paying attention to the interactions between digital policy and other aspects of public policy, as the WSIS agenda is not simply about digital issues, it is about their relationship with the rest of economic, social, cultural life. And perhaps also looking at the 6 themes that emerged from the consultation process, which I mentioned earlier at the end of my remarks, and which are set out in the conclusion of the report. I think that's all I'd say, Anna. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And I hope that your report will be really a very important component of the upcoming discussions and negotiations. So now we are going to listen the Assistant Director General for Communication and Information from UNESCO, Mr. Tafik Jalassi. So we'll have a video from him. And while you are watching it, or we are watching it, Mark and Vlada, they are finishing the messages from this session. So after the video, I will ask both Mark and Vlada to present the main messages from this session, and that's it. And then we finalize our session today. So the video, please.
Distinguished delegates, dear colleagues, I'm very pleased to join you remotely today on behalf of UNESCO and to contribute to this vital dialogue on the implementation of WSIS and the road ahead. First, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to EuroDIG for its long-standing partnership and for providing this important platform to address pressing challenges and opportunities in the digital sphere. The digital world is evolving at an unprecedented pace, presenting both breakthroughs and barriers. From algorithmic biases and digital exclusion to gender inequality and threats to privacy, the list of challenges is long. While AI assistants and digital tools are already part of everyday life for many of us, 2.6 billion people remain still offline, excluded from the transformational potential of digital technologies and the access to information they offer. Thanks to its capacity to convene a variety of influential stakeholders, EuroDIG has become a defining event to tackle these challenges. On behalf of UNESCO, I would like to commend these persistent efforts, which are contributing to the global dialogue on internet governance and supporting the implementation of WSIS. For 2 decades, UNESCO has played a central role in WSIS implementation, working closely with ITU, UNCTAD, and UNDP to ensure coordinated, inclusive, and result-driven actions. As the lead agency on 6 WSIS action lines, UNESCO has brought forward multi-stakeholder cooperation rooted in our core values of human rights, openness, and inclusion. Today, our efforts show tangible results. Since 2002, the number of access to information laws has nearly tripled from 48 to 140, most recently in Cabo Verde, Namibia, Qatar, and Zambia. These laws are vital to enhance transparency, public participation, and accountability, and they are changing lives, particularly for women, youth, and marginalized groups. This progress has been the result of strong collaboration. We cannot overstate the role played by WSIS to support the progress on SDG target 16.10.2, which measures the adoption and implementation of access to information laws. WSIS advocacy and partnerships have strengthened global commitments to information access as a fundamental right. At the same time, our Internet universality principles have supported over 40 countries in shaping rights-based, open, and inclusive digital policies. Some of these important results and new indicators from this work will be presented at this year's EuroDIG event. We have also expanded digital learning access through the UNESCO recommendation on open educational resources, the Digital Transformation Collaborative, and the Global Skills Academy in partnership with ITU and UNICEF. This year, we are pleased to contribute to EuroDIG through the IGF Dynamic Coalition on Measuring Digital Inclusion, established under UNESCO Information for All program. We will also present two important issue briefs. One on human rights-centered global governance of quantum technology, and another on empowering libraries for advancing digital inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, WSIS+20 offers a unique opportunity to rethink digital governance in line with the Global Digital Compact and the Sustainable Development Goals. It is also a moment to strengthen WSIS flexibility, visibility, and funding to ensure it continues to meet the needs of a rapidly changing world. We must collectively address gaps in AI governance, data protection, infrastructure, gender equality, and environmental sustainability. The coming months provide key opportunities for dialogue, including the UNESCO Conference on AI and Digital Transformation on June 4th and 5th at UNESCO headquarters in Paris. Also at the Internet Governance Forum in Norway, and all of its regional and national editions, which will continue to support. And of course, the WSIS+20 High Level Event, co-organized by UNESCO with ITU, UNDP, and UNCTAD, which will play a pivotal role in defining the future of digital cooperation. Let's reaffirm our commitment to building an inclusive, ethical, and rights-based digital future, one that empowers all and leaves no one behind. As the saying goes, information is the currency of democracy. Let's ensure that this currency is accessible to all. Thank you for your attention.
I'd like to thank UNESCO for the key messages that were conveyed. So they are really important, everything that Taufik Jelassi said. It was a pity that he could not be here today, but the video that he recorded has delivered the main and the key words for what we have to achieve by the end of this year. So now I'll give the floor to Mark Carvel, UK independent consultant on internet governance policy, and to Vlad Ivanets, journalist and media researcher. So they will help to conclude this session with the main message from the main session one. Please.
Thank you very much, Anna, and good morning, everybody. And thank you, Anna, for moderating this comprehensive and richly detailed session in preparation for the WSIS+20 review. I think it's been a very, very informative exercise. And on behalf of the program committee, appreciate very much the contributions of the four speakers. We're very grateful for your contributions. And also many thanks to the statements and interventions by stakeholders from the floor here and also online. Also very much appreciated. And Vlad and I have been working away to develop broadly based messages, drawing on the contributions and comments from stakeholders here. And we come up with 5 messages, and we'll take it in turns, Vlad and I, to read through these for your immediate consideration as to whether we've captured as I say, broadly based reflections and recommendations for the conduct of the review. So I'll start off with the first one, and I'll just read it out exactly as you see it on the screen. EuroDIG stakeholders welcomed the updating by co-facilitator Her Excellency Ms. Suela Janina on the opportunities for meaningful stakeholder participation in review, which will ensure, amongst other things, its legitimacy. EuroDIG stands ready to contribute as a channel for inputting key issues and establishing the necessary momentum for achieving the right outcomes with a forward-looking agenda. EuroDIG recommends that all stakeholder inputs and proposals be included on the UN's official record. So that's the first message about really ensuring that the review does have legitimacy through delivering on the commitment in the modalities for the review for meaningful stakeholder engagement as Her Excellency described as the intention. Okay, I'll hand over now to Vlad to go through the second message.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. So the second one is the Internet Governance Forum is a fundamental platform for multi-stakeholder cooperation and should be granted a renewed permanent mandate. The IGF needs to implement the substantive improvements expressed during the open consultations, including enhancing its inclusivity and ensuring its outcomes lead to action. So on the third one, back to Mark.
Okay, having covered a message about the IGF in particular, which is one area of focus for the review, of course. The third one is again on the conduct of the review. So I'll read it out. The WSIS+20 review process should be conducted in a transparent, inclusive, and diverse manner. A multi-stakeholder approach is key to achieving this. The upcoming action plan should align with the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and the priorities for action set out in the Global Digital Compact, the GDC. So here we are conscious of apparently parallel processes, but the need to bring them together in a coherent, aligned, and convergent manner. Okay, so back to Vlad for number 4.
Yeah, thank you. Number 4, review should address new and still existing socio-technological and economic challenges, such as the North-South digital divides and gender inequalities, human-centric AI regulation, climate change, human rights online, effective data management, and maximizing diverse stakeholder participation in the global digital economy from all regions. So by giving this message, we try to touch upon the many issues that still exist in the digital field, and sometimes they can be overlooked or just ignored by the stakeholders, but we really believe that they should be addressed, and it was also mentioned by the participants today.
Okay, thanks, Vlad. Now the fifth and final one, and here we are focusing on the contribution of NRIs. So I'll read it out. National and regional IGFs, NRIs, are important and powerful engines for the bottom-up and multi-stakeholder approach, and therefore they should be actively included in the review processes. National and regional initiatives are fundamental in providing national perspectives and mechanisms for policy adoption. So this is about, as I say, this is about us here, what we're doing here in EuroDIG in terms of setting out our commitment to contribute to the process and why. You know, what is it we as a regional forum and also the national fora, what they can contribute and why they are important to be taken fully into account. Okay, we'll stop there. I hope that's helpful. So initial comments, reactions, gratefully received. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark and Vlad. I think that it is an amazing job. Now I would like to ask you any comments on these five messages. I think that you really did a great work, because that's what I think it's really what come up from the interventions of the key participants and from the statements and what has been said here. Yes, 109, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Regina Fuchsova from EuroDIG. I wanted to thank you very much for the great work on the messages. I have just one technical question to the point number 5, which was referring to the involvement of NRIs in the review process. I'm just wondering if it's enough to speak just about the review process, because actually we are, if not in the middle or towards the end of the review process, if this was not meant more like for the future, that the NRIs stay a vital part of the whole process, not only specifically the review process, which is going to finish quite soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you very much. That's a very important point. We've kind of inferred that when we talk about mechanisms for policy adoption, but maybe we could tweak the language to ensure that this is about the future, beyond the review, as you say. Yes, thank you very much. We'll tweak the language, I think.
Thank you, Mark. Please. Yes, so we are concluding. We are concluding. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. This was a really, really great session. I think all the speakers did a really great job at communicating some of the major issues that are going to be coming up in the near future and in the further future. I'd just like to invite you all now to go into the foyer of the hemicycle for a little coffee break for a return at 11 o'clock. Thank you also, by the way, for the phenomenal timekeeping. I mean, 10:31. Thank you.